So I had never been to a funeral in my entire life until I was 22 years old, and I went to 2 funerals on the same day for 2 teenagers who were killed in 2 separate incidents. And both of those teens were buried in their soccer uniforms, and this was one of the funeral homes where we put one of them to rest. Back then, it was a really rough neighborhood. There was a lot of gang violence that made it scary to walk down the street. I was born in Los Angeles, and when I was 10, I moved up to Ventura County. And I went to high school. It was surrounded on all 4 sides by strawberry fields, and my high school was 60% Latino, and that environment really motivated me to learn Spanish and choose to go to college in the border region here in San Diego. When I got to college, I quickly realized that I didn't want to just learn Spanish from inside the classroom. And so I looked for volunteer opportunities where I could use my Spanish on a regular basis. So I found a Spanish-speaking church in downtown San Diego that was looking for volunteers.
A young man, we say the güerito, a gringo, coming to the door.
HUGO CARBAJAL came to greet me.
Hey, how are you, sir?
Oh, fantastic.
Welcome.
Gave me a grand greeting, and I realized that's how the entire church would receive me.
And I say inside of me, this güero, these American people, why he come here?
When I got there in 1996, there may have been 50 to 100 people attending Sunday service. They were all immigrant families looking for a better life, not just for themselves, but for their children.
My family came here for the American dream, but once we got here, we realized that that dream was less attainable than it was advertised. And so growing up life in poverty wasn't easy. We had a lot of struggles and difficulty, which added to the stress that our family faced.
I remember the first Sunday there, I met a 12-year-old named Alex, and it was his mom that interrupted the church service and had this huge bouquet of flowers and just walked straight down the aisle of the church and put the flowers on the stage because it was the 1-year anniversary of the brother of that 12-year-old. He had died a bullet to the head by a rival gang member. So that 12-year-old, he ended up bringing his friends and their friends and their friends. And by the time I was a sophomore up on the UCSD campus in La Jolla by day, I was running this youth program that was full of bald-headed gang members and sons and daughters of the church members by night.
A lot of people of members of this group come from the gang members.
All the lessons were focused on don't do drugs and don't be in gangs. And the more I talked about drugs and the more I talked about gangs, the more the students did drugs and joined gangs.
I knew that I wanted to be a leader. The type of leader that I envisioned myself becoming was like those older friends that were hanging out in the corner streets with the nice clothes, the chains, the Jordans, and I wanted to become just like them.
So conventional wisdom has it that most inner city programs should follow prevention, intervention, and suppression models. And of course, you need the suppression, the police, because they're the last line of defense. But you only need them because the intervention didn't work. And you need the intervention only because the prevention didn't work. So it really is that prevention model sets people off on the wrong path. In the name of trying to get these students off the streets, here I was providing them with more leadership, transportation, organization, and essentially I was providing them with more social cohesion that made the gang stronger. I started teaching in the year 2000, and some people say that I was a substitute teacher, but I always called myself a special guest, because you know how they always treat substitute teachers. Well, they were going to treat me special and as a guest.
It was considered a very rough school. A lot of discipline problems and a lot of gang problems. At schools like that, a lot of times they give you the brand new teachers who have no skills, and we went through teachers like water.
Substitute teachers would come in and leave the classroom crying, and me and my buddies would turn to each other and give each other a high five and be really excited about the fact that we didn't have a teacher. Until the day that this young man, fresh out of college by the name of Yanov, walks in, and he really made an impression on us. For one, he stayed longer than a week. He got the time to learn all of our names. He would go look for us at the courtyard and hang out with us and really took interest in our own personal lives and development, and we respected that.
I was thinking, all these 7th and 8th graders, they're They may be struggling a little bit, but they're still getting good grades. They're getting A's and B's, but knowing their symbolic older brothers and sisters, they'll be dropping out in 9th and 10th grade. What can be done? In the spring of 2001, I remember saying, look, I've got one last idea to see if we can have a youth program here that's successful. We're not going to give any face time to the negative activities. We're going to only focus our face time on the positive behaviors we want to see the students accomplish.
And he said, if I could take a small group, I don't care if they have a 0.2 GPA, if we think they have potential and we can work with them and they'll be committed to tutors and studying, I think I could change their reality. I think instead of following the path of the gangs, they could see that they might have a future and I could help them get to college.
Reality Changer was going to be my last best shot to see if I could offer a program that actually worked. Word had gotten out. We had taken in 8 students from around the neighborhood into this program, and other students that weren't invited didn't like it.
And we started wondering where the rest of our friends were. And it wasn't long before we figured out that they were at the church, tutoring and getting ahead. We decided to grab some rocks and just disturb the studying that was going on inside the church.
They had gathered with their black jackets and their shaved head outside of the church, yelling at me and cussing me out. Of course, the students inside, they couldn't study. And the volunteers that were there for the first time said, what kind of program is this where we're under attack?
Chris came out and said, not yet.
I was like, hey, get your grades up. You can be in here too, but you got to get your grades up first.
The not yet is important, right? Because he easily could have said, no, there's no way you're going to join our program after throwing rocks through the window.
At that point, I was actually happy because A, these guys were trying to break into a church so that B, they could study for 3 hours. That was the moment I knew that we had something. Here we are where Reality Changers began, and inside this door here is the room where we had our program for the first 7 years. Come on in. This was the original whiteboard from almost 20 years ago. It's still here up on the wall. And as the students would come in from the door from the streets, they'd have to shake all of the volunteers' hands.
When I came into the program in 2002, I was really attracted to being somebody who could be helpful to them to navigate the process of getting to college and staying in college.
So when I got recruited in 2002 as a tutor, we were just serving, I think, around 15 students. Being, first generation college student, going in and meeting younger Mexican-American kids from the same background as myself was refreshing.
Christopher Yanov has found a way to turn a small amount of encouragement into a life-altering force. This 25-year-old San Diegan is the creator of Reality Changers.
We didn't have any proof that this would work. It was just an experiment for so long. We figured out we could do a little bit, so we tried a little more, and we got bigger and bigger.
They start with 8, 10 people, I think so. And we suppose in 1 or 2 years, 7 to 8 years, he stay in this building.
When a student steps into Reality Changers, I want them to feel, this is my place, this is where I belong.
He helped them understand what it meant to really take in information and follow directions or study. Now he's got lots of kids that have become successful.
The only thing I've done is provide them a stage. They're the ones doing all the work, they're the ones doing all the studying.
You just see that they're so eager and they so want to be the change in their family.
And now we're reaching over 1,000 students a year.
My favorite moment in Reality Changers was graduating. And when I say graduating, I don't mean my high school graduation and sitting in the sun for 3 hours. I mean my Reality Changers graduation, where I was surrounded with students who I've been studying next to and really putting effort with for the past 3 or 4 years, and their families and my family, and receiving a huge check that I was awarded, over $100,000 to Point Loma Nazarene University, and my family being extremely proud, and the hugs and the love that was received by everyone in that room.
It took a long time to figure out a system that actually works, but we figured it out. And the question now is, how can other people learn and be a part of what we've created so they can go out and do it for the first time? And that's the next big challenge for reality changers.